You see this bell icon here? Hit it now and we'll ensure you get delivered the very best of reviews, interviews and pop culture content.
Eternally confused and eager for love. But enough about me, let's talk about the new Netflix show, shall we? From XL Entertainment and Zoya, Akhtar and Reema Kagti's Tiger Baby films, which is already more than enough reason to be excited about literally anything. Eternally Confused and Eager for Love follows Ray, played by VInisha, who you may remember from Netflix's Mismatched. Ray is an overly anxious, overthinking 24-year-old with the self-esteem of a doorknob. The series follows his various misadventures as he fumbles and bumbles, pun intended, his way through dating and wanting to find love and maintain a social life, all while trying to grapple with his own challenging relationship with himself. To help him navigate and process the world, Ray has the voice in his head, his imaginary friend, Wiz, a wizard superhero character he's loved since he was a kid, who's now his internal monologue. Here voiced by a drop-dead hilarious Jim Sarb. The 8-episode series is written and directed by Rahul Nair, who's previously assisted on shows like Made in Heaven and Inside Edge, and he must be protected at all costs. Mere minutes into the first episode, you just feel like you're in the presence of a comedic coming-of-age triumph. Eternally Confused is immediately a sharp, zany, breezy breath of fresh air in young adult storytelling on streaming, one that's bursting with personality and wit. From the word go, it's clear that the perspective, the sparkling dialogue, the characters, casting and energy of the series feel authentic and organic in capturing young adult life, unlike other recent shows, such as, ironically, Netflix's Mismatched, which offer an overtly outsider perspective and try to give us much wow cool youths down to the kids' diverse characters and forced drama. Aside from the laugh-out-loud humor, I love the specificity of the writing here and the keen observations of Ray's steady stream of anxious encounters, whether it's him putting his foot in his mouth with women or navigating dating apps, or even overthinking the oh-so-sacred smiley face to exclamation mark to emoji ratio of a text. Yeah, we've all been there. At its best, Eternally Confused is genuinely funny, uncomfortably relatable, and just so endearing. I say that, of course, with the caveat of being one douchey privileged Bombay boy relating to a show about another privileged Bombay boy. But beneath the laughs and relatable angst, there's a real pain and delicateness there. Ray thinks he's an absolute loser. He's so preoccupied with his lack of success with women and the idea that being with someone is the solution to all his problems. He's so lost with how others see him that he overlooks how he perceives himself. I love how the spirit of the show taps into the blurry, buzzy, anxious, what am I even doingness of early adult life and dating and the pressures of having it all figured out before you eventually come to realize that ain't nobody got it figured out. To that end, Eternally Confused is a testament to busting the myths surrounding your roaring 20s and the amazing carefree time they're supposed to be, when in fact for a lot of people it's just a time of a whole lot of pressure and crippling self-doubt where the only thing roaring are your insecurities. I mean, I've heard, I wouldn't know about that. At times, watching Ray's foot-in-mouth, self-sabotaging stupidity and the fact that he's so equipped for bad things to happen that he doesn't know how to process it when good things do is just stressful to watch. But that's only because it feels all too familiar. Ray is so anxious and forever on edge that he doesn't just jump to conclusions, he leapfrogs over logic entirely to arrive at these insane, intricate, overthinking scenarios. At times, you just want to shout at the screen and say, Ray, bro, why can't you just process things in a more balanced, less extreme, less dramatic way? And then you're like, oh, so that's how my friends feel when they talk to me. Well, that's just exhausting. As Ray, the impressive VInisha is well cast, armed with a great deer in headlights resting mopey face. You feel for him and root for him even when you disagree with his actions. Throw in some charming performances from Rahul Bose and Suchitra Pillai as his parents who, in their own way, are just trying to do their best, along with the delightful Desai who plays his best friend and anchor to reality, Ria. But the key figure in Ray's life is Wiz, an inventive narrative device used to represent Ray's shaky, harmful relationship with himself. Wiz is basically attaching a snarky, hilarious personality to your internal monologue, armed with winning one-liners that had me in splits almost every episode. I had so much fun watching their banter, almost as much fun as Jim Sarb no doubt had in voicing him.
Oh my god, Oscar out. Oscar out.
Hi.
Hi? Is that the zenith of your vocabulary?
That said, Eternally Confused doesn't manage to maintain its refreshing achievement throughout. After the 4th episode, the narrative starts to coast, as if it no longer knows what it wants to say. Suddenly, much like Ray himself, the show seems to feel confused about what it wants to be or where it wants to go, if anywhere. As the rushed, unsatisfying finale episode shows us, Eternally Confused starts us on a touching journey but then doesn't really build up to much of anything. Things are just left hanging in the air and unresolved. Inbuilt into the very DNA of a great coming-of-age story is the idea of growth. They allow us to see people evolve and transform into something more than they were initially. The characters at the end are no longer quite the same as they were at the start, and ideally, as the viewer, neither are we. But here there is no sense of self-acceptance or facing your demons. Through the show, not all that much has changed for Ray, not really. And I get it, the show isn't going for grand resolutions or unrealistic happily ever afters, but even meaningful, simple slice of life brings sense of change and progress. By the end, I kept thinking about what Ray himself would get if he watched this show, and I think aside from being thoroughly entertained, he'd feel seen and understood, less alone and like less of an outlier, which is nice, but I don't think he'd necessarily have a newfound sense of hope or understanding to be fundamentally kinder to himself. In the end, Eternally Confused works better as a series of isolated relatable instances and standalone sketches and skits about coming-of-age angst and dating fails than it does as the definitive urban coming-of-age comedy that it could well have been. Despite the show's scattered last leg, one of my favorite scenes comes in the last episode. Ray is at his friend's engagement party. He pounds a few shots at the bar, and when his favorite song comes on, he hits the dance floor with his friends. But for once, he's not caged in his head. For a few precious moments, he's in his element, in the zone. It's a rare moment of true, unburdened freedom to just breathe out and be. And in that moment, I swear he was infinite. You can watch Eternally Confused and Eager for Love on Netflix.